believe it's another week. In fact, it is. We were just talking about the dates, and it's the 4th. How fast time is going past. Whoa. It is almost Christmas, and you start to get that awful panic feeling, I have done nothing for Christmas. And it all piles up, and you get more panicked. But I can tell you, we're recording Sunday for Monday and Tuesday here in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton's behind the camera, and it is a beautiful, beautiful day. No, it hasn't. I think last week, I can't remember what the day was, Pete, when we had all that thunder and lightning and the storms. Wow. It moved out of South Australia into Victoria and up the east coast of Australia, and I think they didn't know what hit them. They didn't know. Well, we had a little bit of rain. In fact, I would think that our major reservoir, which is Mount Bold Reservoir, would be nice and full for summer. I don't think we'll have to crank up the machine.
The desalination?
The desalination plant. I don't think we could afford the electricity to run it.
No.
Dear, oh dear. Anyway, all is growing and green in the garden, and I'm happy about that. I do have a cold, which I think I was sitting here only a few weeks ago with a cough. Anyway, I mean, these things are going around, but no, I have tested it. It's not COVID. It's okay. Guess how many banks have closed in the last 6 years? Pete, what do you reckon?
Well, I don't know, but I'm guessing a lot.
Yes, a lot. 2,100 Australian banks. Australian bank branches is what I mean. Bank branches have closed since 2017.
That's a lot of unemployed people then, isn't it?
Well, it's also a lot of, I don't know, grumpy customers, because, I mean, I like going into the bank. I like to do that, to go in and order another checkbook. It used to be automatic, but you have to actually go in there and physically do it. I think the banks are trying to get people not only out of the branches, but also out of the physical business of banking that I've known all my life, from a Commonwealth Bank money box to having my first checkbook. And I still pay things by check, but I know I'm on my last days. Not going to be able to do that for too much longer. There is a Senate inquiry, anyway, at the moment into all of this. By that I mean the bank closures. Various heads of the banks have said, you know, if you don't use it, meaning the bank branches, you will lose it. And I think that's fair enough. I use my bank branch and I appreciate it immensely. I don't know if you were listening on Friday when we were doing the live streaming show, jeremycordeaux.com, at the dining room table, but I think it was about 9:30. I'd had the pleasure the night before to be invited to a Commonwealth Bank function where we could listen to the chief economist talk about what the year gone by and what the year to come are likely to bring. And Stephen very kindly, even though he was pushed for time, agreed to come on the show, and he did, and we spent about 20 minutes together talking about the way the world is going to go next year. And it's good. I mean, his précis, his prognosis was very encouraging. You know, we're in pretty good territory at the moment. But speaking of Senate inquiries, the big supermarkets have some questions to answer. I wonder what it's like to be called up in front of the Senate. It must be pretty daunting. You know, you're sitting down there, and they're sitting up there, and you can't exactly plead the fifth. I don't think we have a fifth. No, you're in serious trouble. In contempt of the Senate, probably. You've got to be careful. Anyway, the big supermarkets have got some questions to answer. High prices for us, of course, and record profits for them. at a time when cost of living is a very big issue, and probably a bigger issue for the government. Price gouging? Well, I don't know how or what the Senate can do or prove, but if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's usually a duck. Then somebody on that Senate committee might have the smarts to say, well, how come the farmers are shooting their sheep? Because they can't, in fact they worry about the cost of the bullet, because they can't, it's not worth their while to take them to market. They just don't make enough money. Yet you go to the supermarket, you'll find that meat, lamb and pork and a beef are very expensive. See, it doesn't add up. I hope somebody has the sense to ask that question of somebody in the supermarket chain. Oh, I must talk to you about COP28. I don't want to seem like I'm obsessive or obsessing, but it's quite a show. Has been 70,000 participants for a week. Now, it's run by the UN, so you'd have to know that it would be pretty useless. Talk, 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 talk. Oh yes, 100 countries got up and committed or promised to triple their production of clean energy. You know, alternative energy. Means nothing. Nothing. Most are doing nothing, so triple nothing, last time I looked, was nothing. That's the truth. However, a lot of, you guessed it, talk, positive talk about nuclear energy, nuclear power as being the real solution. And the only realistic way to get zero emissions by 2050. But the whole thing is so stupid. The planet, the countries that make up the planet can never, I don't care where you are, can never have zero emissions. We have 1/3 of global greenhouse gases emissions produced by fairly innocuous things that all the greenies think are pretty good. Wetlands, marshes, deltas. 1/3 of global greenhouse emissions come from wetlands and, mustn't forget, termites. Termites produce an enormous amount of methane, which is the worst greenhouse gas of all. No, the COP travelling roadshow is rubbish, a waste of time and money. And if taxpayers weren't picking up the bill for all these people, there wouldn't be one. Can you see, in all honesty, can you see the United Arab Emirates, the host for this COP28, or Saudi Arabia, or Russia, or China, putting their people back into poverty? Can you see that happening? Self-interest, ladies and gentlemen, is what will drive, has driven and will drive, most sensible people and most sensible countries. It's only the extremists, the fanatics, people like this lot in Canberra, who will die in a ditch for some sort of ideological obsession, like The Voice. Like The Voice. Spend millions, waste time and effort, human capital, when any sensible person would know right from the get-go that this thing would not only not get off the ground, it wouldn't fly. But, you know, we're dealing with people here who are driven completely differently from the rest of us. Something else I wanted to mention to you, the new car business. New car business is interesting. It's slowing. Now, I suspect, judging by the deals that can be done at the moment, there's some uncertainty or hesitation caused by the spectre, and I do mean spectre, of electric cars. It's the hype, you know, what they call the future. Well, I'll tell you, I think it's actually tomorrow. Pete, will you remind me?
Yes.
There's a date when the first electric car was driven. I can't remember the date off my head, but between now and then I'll look it up. Electric cars have been around a long time. They've been looming for a long time. But whether they are the transport of the future, I suspect they were saying that many, many years ago. Sales of cars generally are down 8%. 8% is quite a bit. But there are lots of deliveries. The car dealers are pretty busy delivering cars that were ordered 12 to 18 months ago. But the sales situation could be serious. In other words, I suppose what I'm saying is if you want to buy a car, and I hope it's going to be an internal combustion, conventional car, you could be getting in now for a bargain. I mean, that's just putting two and two together. You'll only know when you walk into the showroom and talk to the salespeople, I guess. But that's what I've been told. Lots of very useful rain, as I said, across Australia. In fact, a bit too much here in Adelaide. But they were promising us a long, hot, dry summer. Well, I think it's about 32 degrees today. Just a lovely day. Can't complain. They'll gladly tell us what the weather is going to be like in 50 years, but they have a little bit of trouble telling us about tomorrow. Les, a very marvellous man. In fact, I think Les is going to drop by when we're on the air on Friday from the living room, the dining room. He's got a great life experience, Les. He pointed out to me in a message that the BOM, the Bureau of Meteorology, as they call the BOM, they never apologise when they get it wrong. It's kind of policy. Like Tim Flannery when he said it will never rain again a few years back. Right. All right. Tim? I get it. Have I got any time?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is important. And I'd love you to talk to me on Friday on the phone, because you can do that live streaming. The NDIS must reform or die. Bill Shorten. The NDIS must reform or die. Well, Bill Shorten, Minister in charge, pardon me, Minister responsible. What, sir, is your plan to reform the NDIS? There's no point in calling for reform. Stop calling and start doing. Start doing that which is your job. I heard him yesterday. He said, now you got to listen to this carefully because I could not believe it. Of the 100,000 NDIS providers, only 16,000 are authorised. In other words, legitimate. Again, Minister, this is your responsibility. How did 80% of the providers get into the system in the first place without you knowing about it? The whole thing was nuts from the very start. All the predictions were wrong. It was never affordable, hopelessly bureaucratic, out of control from day one. And I have been saying this for the last 7 years in various places and publicly. And the crowning moment was when Bill Shorten came out with the revelation that the NDIS was in the hands of organised crime. In the hands of organised crime. Again, his responsibility. And he is yet to tell us what action he has taken to remedy this situation. This government, but particularly this minister, should go. And if you think that's too harsh, you can ring me on Friday and rip my ears off. That's democracy. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday or a wedding anniversary. Just a few dates. The potato was introduced into England by Sir Walter Raleigh, who was good at throwing his coat on the ground so a woman could not get her feet wet stepping in a puddle.
Did you know he was executed?
Ah, look, I might have read that.
Yeah, I don't know why he was, he was executed.
Potatoes are not that bad.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
And a
it.
bit of chivalry shouldn't go astray.
Yeah.
But the trouble is you can't do anything in this world without making enemies. That's the problem. But that's Sir Walter Raleigh introduction of the potatoes, 1568. I thought the Irish invented potatoes. Monopoly went on sale for the very first time on this day in 1935, just after the Depression. The lovely Eileen Linkson was born, the wife of Paul Linkson, here in Adelaide. I think she has gone to God. Dr. John Rock died 1984. If that name doesn't ring a bell, he was 94 when he died. He died in his sleep in New Hampshire. He was the co-developer with the Boston University biology professor Dr. Gregory Pincus of the oral contraceptive birth control pill. Approved first in 1960, way before that in 1937, this brilliant Dr. John Rock, he was the first scientist to propose test tube babies or in vitro fertilization. 1937, way ahead of his time. Bill Collins, who used to talk to me regularly at the old 5DN, he would never tell me how old he was, never knew how old he was. Didn't really matter. He knew more about the movies and movie stars than most people on the face of the planet. Anyway, he was born on this day. He too has gone to God. Jeff Bridges was born, 1949, the Australian premier of robbery under arms. It was at Port Augusta, by the way. 19, is it 50 or 30? 1957. 1957. William Sturgeon, he was the man who built the first electromagnet in 1850. Deanna Durbin, early film star, singer, 1922 was born. Ronnie Corbett was born in 1930. General Franco was born, Spanish dictator, 1892. Glenys Nunn was born, fine Australian athlete, 1960. Elizabeth Taylor got married. I got more memories of Elizabeth Taylor getting married and getting divorced than I think probably any other person on the planet. John Warner, that's right, he was a senator, wasn't he? Senator John Warner, married 7 times, and the December issue of Vanity Fair, in an interview she said, "I am sure I will remarry just once more, but only once more, but boy, it's going to be right that time. I think maybe I'm finally growing up." She was 53 at the time. Good old Elizabeth Taylor. She once said in an interview, I remember, that she would never have an affair with a man, regardless. She would not have an affair. She would get married. It seems like a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. I mean, it doesn't seem... Anyway, I don't know. We all have to live our lives the way we want to. Edgar Wallace was born in 1875. Oh, and the lovely Pamela Stephenson was born in 1950. I'll leave it there. Oh, yeah, Freddie Cannon was born in Massachusetts in 1940. The explosive Freddie Cannon, they used to call him. Thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. I welcome your feedback. Thank you for viewing. We'll see you tomorrow. Peter Clayton and I'll be back. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Believe in yourself. And goodbye for now.